Welcome back to the house with no name. Last time we saw us start the first real DIY project that wasn't painting, if you don't count the plumbing. Our built from scratch rustic kitchen, where we're trying to turn this pile of pretty raw timber into a functioning kitchen with a gas hob. The time consuming joint work is pretty much complete, so now we're putting it together.
Alright, so day 3 of building this kitchen. All the legs are cut, all the cross sections are cut, there's some notches to cut out on there's bits of crossover, but to do them reliably well, you need to put the main structure in place and then mark them up and chop it to size. Before we do that, we're chucking some feet onto the bottom of these so that it just gives it a tiny little raise off the ground, but kind of barely noticeable, so these will squish down. These are the things we're using. 4 per foot.
What do they need?
Now what we're going to do is try and fit it all in place and then try and fit those joints. One of the joints definitely fits because we dry fitted it yesterday, but we're going to try and dry fit all of them and then mark up where we need to still cut out to make them fit. So what we're going to do now, we are going to screw down through each of these corner posts to hold all these sections together. They're fairly wobbly, but they are going to get held together with a single screw down to the middle. But then we will also have screws on this piece that will go through the end and on this piece that will go through the end, and that will tie the whole thing together until we put the lower cross pieces in. So screw these boys in there.
Okay. That's one, yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, for all of the other worktops we're going to do, we're not making the fancy joints anymore.
So we did them all by hand, but it was quite fun.
It's a fun idea,
Yeah.
and character building and good carpentry learning, but also very time consuming.
We will
So the
not-
next one we won't be doing it like this.
We will not be doing it this way, that's for sure. we need to move them back into the corner
Mm-hmm.
to then line everything up, the posts and stuff to measure in between to get the right length. So. So we've got it pretty well fixed into place, everything's lined up nice and square, all the legs are level, they're all nice and straight. So we're just going to measure up now for the sections in between, which will go kind of somewhere near the bottom here, which will provide a bottom shelf, and then on some sections of it there's going to be also a middle shelf as well. So we'll kind of have shelf sections under here and under this side. They're going to be open, so there's not going to be any cupboards, but we're going to get those sections in so that we can screw it all together, and then it will be pretty sturdy and it is not going to move. 96.5, 59.5, 45, 109. We'll run the post down. So we think we've got the layout.
Mm-hmm.
Hob centered on this side of the counter, which leaves this side open to be used. We're then going to go 2 shelves in here. Then we haven't decided whether the gas bottle is going to sit in that corner or is going to sit here on this side. Either way, we're going to be able to cut all the lengths that we need for the cross beams. Then we'll decide whether the shelves go this side and the gas bottle goes in the corner, or the shelves go this side and the gas bottle stays there.
So we're going to chop it all, then probably tomorrow we'll get it all sanded down and stained and hopefully put together. So we should finish tomorrow with a full unit, maybe a worktop.
And a worktop.
We'll see how we go.
We're likely a worktop, that shows. It's varnished and stained and everything.
Maybe. Morning. So just got done sanding, Amy got done sanding pretty much all of the cross members to put them and fit them in between the kitchen legs. Now we're going to stain them, then later on we're actually going to be fitting them. So by the end of the day we might actually have a full kitchen with maybe a working hob, potentially.
It's a big day.
It's a big day, and then we can actually not have to cook on the floor anymore. It's less than ideal, but
We had a great feast last night with our one-pot Instant Pot
it
meal.
was pretty good. The Instant Pot's currently doing absolutely everything because it made dinner last night and then it also heated the water for coffee this morning. We're going to stain those cross beams and then we'll start fitting them later on.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go. One thing we probably haven't explained in much depth is kind of why we're using this wood and why we didn't just buy planed, or we didn't just like kind of find a second-hand kitchen or anything like that. One of I think the main reason was we want to actually build stuff ourselves, because at the moment, like, we do have the time to be able to. You could argue that we don't have the time to be able to, because we don't actually have everything we need in the house to be able to live that well. But I think more than that was kind of the skills. I guess you could argue why we're spending so long doing this on a kitchen in particular that's not going to be forever. It's going to be here for maybe 18 months, maybe potentially less, depending on how quick we move through doing stuff. Because we're going to take that wall out in between the kitchen, and we're also going to take the chimney out or kind of move it up or whatever we can do when we figure that out. But I guess kind of then the main reason is the skills. So if we were to just get something kind of a contemporary kitchen, and we could just get secondhand really cheap, or just buy a new one and kind of get it put in or whatever, we're not actually then by the time we then get to wanting to build stuff that's going to be permanent, we're not necessarily going to have the skills to be able to do it. So we can just spend a bit longer now, learn whilst we're doing it, know that it's not going to be there forever. So if it does go wrong, it doesn't really matter. If it doesn't turn out as good, doesn't really matter. But we've had the practice and actually acquired some skills of doing stuff, so that when we come to make the stuff that is actually going to be there for a while, we're better at it. Hopefully be able to do it a bit more effectively. And I guess the other question is kind of why we're using this wood, kind of unplaned raw timber rather than planed stuff. Mainly, it's two reasons. One is cost. We can afford to spend the time then actually just tidying it up to start working with it. The second thing is more kind of like how it looks. So it is pretty rough. It is not kind of clean. It's not going to look particularly contemporary. It's not going to look like an IKEA kitchen. Because we're building it ourselves, we don't have the skills to be able to make something look like a off-the-shelf kind of really tidy, square-edged, that kind of thing. We don't have those skills. This stuff allows a bit of leeway for it to look a bit more rough because of the way the timber looks. Also gives us that kind of style, that rustic style, which fits with our level of being able to kind of hide some imperfections in the craftsmanship, and it's not going to look terrible, or it's not going to look really badly done. So that's why we've got this stuff, and so far it kind of looks exactly like we want it to. It looks pretty cool. This stain also helps with that. It gives it a kind of dark, rustic, almost like a farmhouse kind of look, so it works really well for that so far. So they're all stained. We need them to dry, but what we're going to do now is chop the shelf sections. So we can measure them up and chop them without these being in place, because hopefully it should all be correct, or we've got some leeway on the back side of it. But we're going to chop all those. Then they need sanding down and staining as well.
Our life is sanding and staining. We thought painting was over. Boy, were we wrong.
So we've now finished sanding and staining the shelf sections that will go in. We've got basically all the pieces, and now we can assemble the entire thing and start screwing it together.
Yeah, the fun bit.
Right, let's go and decide where it's all going.
Okay. Come on, builder. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, that looks good.
So that's 5 centimetres.
Well, if it's 5, we get maximal shelf space.
Yes, a bit more.
2. I feel like that's...
We'll check how he's bubbling.
Oh, beautiful bubbles.
Right. Yay, last one.
Woohoo! That is stable.
Beefy.
Leave your hands for that one.
Imagine. Frame is done.
Woo!
Finally finished. It's all screwed in. It took a while, mostly because we spent more time changing the bit back and forth because different ends needed different angles. We did some pocket holes without a jig, which was difficult, which anyone who's tried to do that it's a lot easier with a jig. Pretty big screws. We also know that it is very heftily built. Like, it's way overbuilt and the screws are massive and the wood's massive. But
It looks cool.
it looks cool.
And we built it, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. We're much closer than we were.
We have a new idea for how we'll do all the rest of them.
Yeah, which will be for the sink and the other kind of kitchen section will be a hell of a lot faster and easier and less.
It also just won't be the first one we've done.
Also won't be the first one.
I don't know which was the most complicated of methods for the first one. But you live and you learn, right?
It was still fun. Oh. There you go.
Worktop, is it?
Yeah, worktop. So we've done all of the support sections of the unit. It's now time for the worktop. Hopefully we get it right. We've got a plan because that wall on the far side is not square. So we're hoping we can line up that. If we do the cut on that edge, it means there's a bit more leeway to kind of push it up against the wall and seal it rather than it having to be perfect if we do like a 45 degree or we try and do like a notched one. So, see how it goes.
Kind of lined up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like right on in the middle of it, or is it on the edge of that mark? I'm sure. Alright, see if he fits it.
Yeah.
Come on, pal.
Yeah.
We fit?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well done, boss.
Good job. Good maths.
Fits.
Perfect. Looks alright, eh?
Yeah, that's good.
Looks pretty good.
Well done, boss.
Oh, that's his edge.
Covered in shit.
Sawdusts. Well done. We have a worktop. It fits. We had to cut the first piece twice because we got the angle wrong the first time, but it does actually now fit. So we're pretty much done for tonight. Back tomorrow, we're going to cut out for the hob. And it's going to be good to go. We can put stuff on it, it's going to be usable, and we can actually cook food. Not on the floor. It fits. Yes. Amazing. I need to fit this into the counter. Okay, so I think I have everything set to be able to fix the hob in place. The worktop's cut, the worktop's fitted, it's clamped down. It also had a little damage because I dropped it when I was gonna go and cut the hole.
Character.
So it's got extra character on it now on the edges. So now I'm gonna actually fit it. So we have an actual fitted hob in our kitchen. There's still some sealing around the edges of the worktop to do, but the hob's fitted. We can put all the bits and bobs that go with a gas hob in now. The gas will connect up underneath. It'll sit in a gap that's just on the left hand side. But yeah, it's finally fitted. It feels like it's taken a significantly long time, or much longer than it probably should have, but it's in, and it looks pretty good with the wood.
We have gas, a hob that works. So now we actually do have a functional kitchen. Doesn't look
Still
like,
no sink and water.
I mean, there's no sink, and it doesn't look like much, but we do have a hob.
It's so good.
And we made it.
Yeah. Just need to touch up the walls a bit.
Yeah, I may have accidentally got stain on the walls a little bit.
I mean, I've also got permanent marker on it, so it's fine.
So this is obviously not the finished article by any means. So with the hob, I've got an extractor to go in here. We're going to build a pan wall. We're going to have a shelf, and then this will be full of crockery and pans and such things. But it is now functional and usable as a hob, which is great, and we made it, so it's really cool. It's now usable, and it means we can have coffee tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for all the likes, subscribes, and especially the comments. They're super helpful and we really appreciate the support. Next time, we're building our sink unit from scratch, getting running water inside the house, and fitting our water heater so we can finally wash dishes properly.